Nobody expected things to fall apart this quickly. Coming into this season, expectations for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were absolutely enormous. Fans weren't simply expecting improvement, they were expecting domination. After all the hype, record-breaking performances, sold-out arenas, and endless media attention, many believed this season would be the moment when Caitlin Clark officially transformed Indiana into a championship contender. Instead, what fans are seeing now feels completely different. Over the past several weeks, frustration has started becoming impossible to ignore. The losses have piled up. The chemistry questions continue growing louder. Social media has exploded with criticism. And perhaps most importantly, fans are beginning to notice something that might be even more concerning. Caitlin Clark simply doesn't look like herself anymore. Everything reached another level when viral clips started spreading across social media. During games, cameras repeatedly caught Clark looking visibly frustrated on the bench. There were emotional reactions, there were tense moments, there were exchanges with coaches that immediately fueled speculation online. And once those clips started circulating, fans quickly came to one conclusion: something behind the scenes may not be right. This brings us directly to the biggest controversy surrounding Indiana right now, head coach Stephanie White. Whether the criticism is fair or not, fans have increasingly started pointing fingers toward coaching decisions. Many expected Indiana's entire system to revolve around maximizing Clark's strengths: fast-paced basketball, aggressive transition offense, constant movement, more freedom. Instead, critics argue that there are moments where the offense feels slower, more restricted, and sometimes completely disconnected from the style that made Clark such a dangerous player in the first place. Now, to be fair, coaching basketball at the professional level is incredibly complicated. Building chemistry takes time, systems require adjustments, winning games is never simple. But perception matters, especially when your team features the biggest star in women's basketball. And right now, the perception surrounding Indiana is becoming increasingly negative. Then came the comments that pushed this story even further. Caitlin Clark finally addressed the struggles publicly. She spoke about adversity. She talked about fighting through difficult stretches. She discussed staying together as a team and continuing to improve. On the surface, these comments seemed normal, but fans immediately started reading deeper into every word. Because when someone who normally appears confident suddenly sounds exhausted, people notice. When someone who usually looks energetic starts appearing frustrated, people notice. And when the biggest star in basketball speaks during difficult times, every sentence gets analyzed. The reality is that nobody in women's basketball has ever dealt with this level of pressure before. Every game becomes national news. Every missed shot trends online. Every turnover creates debates across social media. Every loss generates headlines. Clark isn't simply playing basketball anymore, she's carrying expectations from fans, media companies, sponsors, the league itself, and millions of viewers who expect greatness every single night. That pressure adds up. And maybe what fans are seeing right now isn't necessarily someone being broken. Maybe it's simply exhaustion. But that hasn't stopped fans from panicking. The reason this situation feels different is because people fear something bigger than a losing streak. They fear burnout. They fear frustration turning into something long-term. They fear losing the version of Caitlin Clark that made millions of people fall in love with women's basketball in the first place. Whenever fans see frustration, they naturally begin asking uncomfortable questions. Is she unhappy? Does she want changes? Is the organization failing its superstar? These questions have become unavoidable because, whether fair or unfair, expectations for Indiana were never supposed to include this much chaos. This creates another uncomfortable conversation. Is Indiana properly supporting their franchise player? Great organizations understand something very important about superstars. Talent alone isn't enough. Players need systems that build confidence. They need structure. They need support. They need environments that allow them to succeed while handling enormous expectations. When fans watch Clark looking increasingly frustrated during games, they naturally wonder whether Indiana is truly maximizing the greatest opportunity in franchise history. Of course, whenever tension becomes visible publicly, another question immediately appears: what's happening inside the locker room? Truthfully, nobody outside the team actually knows. Fans see short clips, small reactions, emotional moments captured by cameras. Then, social media creates narratives around those moments. Sometimes those narratives are accurate. Sometimes they aren't. But once those stories start spreading online, perception becomes reality. And right now, the perception surrounding Indiana feels messy. The reason this story refuses to disappear is actually very simple. Caitlin Clark drives attention unlike anyone else. If another player shows frustration during a game, most people probably ignore it. When Caitlin Clark does it, sports pages post it. Content creators discuss it. Fans debate it. Television shows analyze it. That creates an endless cycle where every small moment suddenly becomes massive news. More attention creates more pressure. More pressure creates more frustration. More frustration creates more headlines. And suddenly, everything feels bigger than it actually is. So now we arrive at the biggest question everyone keeps asking. Did Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever break Caitlin Clark? Maybe that's actually the wrong question. Perhaps the better question is this: can Indiana fix these problems before frustration becomes something much bigger? Because talent isn't the issue. Clark has talent. The roster has talent. The opportunities are there. But pressure has destroyed teams before. Expectations have ruined chemistry before. Constant outside noise has affected players before. Indiana must figure things out quickly, because the spotlight surrounding this team is not getting smaller, it's becoming bigger every single day. What makes this entire situation fascinating is that we may be watching a defining moment unfold in real time. Sometimes, adversity creates legends. Sometimes, adversity destroys momentum. Right now, nobody knows which direction this story is heading. But one thing is absolutely certain. Fans are watching very closely. Because at this moment, Caitlin Clark doesn't look like someone having fun. And for many fans, that might be the most concerning part of all. So what do you think? Is Stephanie White the problem? Is Indiana failing their superstar? Or is this simply what happens when the biggest name in basketball experiences real adversity for the first time? Let me know your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe because this story is far from over.